Hello, this is Lauren Delsack speaking, and if you're new to my channel, I am a professional astrologer. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the astrology of Britney Spears. It was brought to my attention through a comment on my channel. The person asked, what could cause 13 years of this control? So I have no idea what was going on in Britney Spears' life because I don't follow celebrity news, but I looked into it and I listened to this conservatorship testimony from her. I was very moved and I went straight into the astrology, and it's an absolutely fascinating study and case, and there's so much learning in what I'm going to share with you. Now, apparently for 13 years, her father has been controlling her monies and her life and all that. If you want to look into the details of her story, you can do that on your own. But when I was listening to her testimony, I knew before I even looked at the charts, the first thing I wanted to look at immediately was her chart in synastry with her father. Now, just so that you know, I'm going to put all of the details in the description box below. You just press on that down arrow below the video to the right of the title, and there you can get the father's birth data and Britney Spears' birth data and all that kind of stuff, okay? We don't have a birth time for her father, but it doesn't matter because when we're doing synastry between two people, when you have a birth time for one person, you use them in the inner wheel and you put the other person on the outer wheel. Now, I knew because of my experience working in astrology for several decades and working with clients, real live people, I knew from what she was saying that in the synastry, the planet Pluto had to be coming from her father on the angles of her horoscope. I went to look first at the natal synastry. There was nothing there. As soon as I put in the draconic, both her or her father's draconic with the natal, okay, there it was. Bingo bango. So here's Britney Spears in the inner wheel, and Pluto, well, the outer wheel is the draconic chart of her father, and where is Pluto? It's exactly conjunct her ascendant. It's also, interestingly enough, I think this is quite karmic because he was born with Pluto conjunct his south node, and they're both on the natal ascendant of Britney. So, I don't speculate about past lives and where the karma comes from and all that kind of stuff, but this can be a very deep relationship tie. The point is, and this is what I've seen time and time again when you're doing synastry between two people in a relationship. Here's the thing about Pluto, and there's 4 words I'm going to give you. You got power, okay, control, authority, and manipulation. Right there, my friends. And so, when somebody's Pluto is coming in on one of the 4 angles of the horoscope of another person, this is a very challenging, controlling relationship situation that really can go on for the individual's life. I've had clients that have been in very troubling relationships with somebody who has a Pluto on the angle of their horoscopes, and is very hard for them to break out of it. So, point being here is that this is a very obvious situation of the father that has probably manipulated, controlled Britney Spears probably her whole life. Now, I want to go back 13 years ago to 2008 and I think 2008 or 2009, it's obvious from the astrology when this happened, when she, signed some kind of contract that her father would be the conservator of her estate or of her. Now, let's keep in mind here something. Britney Spears in 2008, she was 26 years old. The poor thing hadn't even had her Saturn return yet. That's the importance of the Saturn return, is at 29 and a half years old, we officially become an adult, and we can make adult decisions based on what we want in our life, not what our parents want for us. But before that age, we are highly conditioned by what other people think and by what our parents want for us. And that's exactly the position that she was probably in. And sure enough, because I knew I had to see Pluto there as well, when we look at the transits that were going on for Britney Spears back in 2008 into 2009, number one, transiting Saturn was square to her sun. She has a stellium here, a triple conjunction of Uranus, Mercury, and the natal sun together. She is not a stupid person. When you're born with Uranus in conjunction, square or opposition to your Mercury, she is a very, very bright woman. I can tell you that. So anyways, transiting Saturn was square to her sun and to her Mercury, so she definitely was making decisions then. But the interesting thing is, right at the start of 2009, where was transiting Pluto? It was exactly opposed her midheaven and square her ascendant. Okay, so this is a major new start in her life. This is a life milestone. I mean, we're talking about here an outer planet like Pluto. It only hits off the angles of the horoscope once or twice in a lifetime. This is a life milestone, a major perspective change, a major new start coming from the IC where Pluto was, opposed her midheaven. This is major, massive what she went through back in that period in 2008, 2009, which had almost like a life significant effect on her. Also, the solar arcs are quite interesting. Also, in that time period in 2008, solar arc Mercury came to oppose the midheaven and square her ascendant. So she was probably very concerned with what other people would think. Also, Mercury rules over contracts. So it's obvious from the astrology, this is just such a beautiful example between the solar arcs and the transits of what went on with Britney Spears back in this 2008-2009 time period when she got into this agreement, okay? And anybody studying her chart, you can learn a lot from it, because with transiting Saturn square to her sun, well, the sun represents her father. You see, it can represent the father figure. And so I think that triple conjunction there, Uranus, Mercury, and the sun, have a lot to do with all of this, this whole situation with her father. Now, going ahead here to 2020 and 2021, looking at the solar arcs that occurred for her right around September, October of 2020, is number one, the solar arc midheaven came to oppose her natal moon. So this is ego consciousness being alerted to all of one's senses. I mean, this was a major wake-up call for her. And solar arc Pluto conjunct Mercury, the ability to demand new perspectives in life, to persuade. It's very powerful for the communication, but also, you know, I almost feel like, because I've studied spiritual awakening that has happened to individuals, and I'm not saying that happened to Brittany, but I will say that when you put Pluto and Mercury together, there is a major, massive perspective change on the mental outlook of an individual. It can be extremely empowering. And I think from what she talked about in her testimony, she saw, you know, there are good things that happen in 2020 with people being in isolation, because once we're quiet and we're not out there being so social and moving around, you know, a lot of things can brew from within the individual consciousness of a person. So I'm hoping that it will all lead to a massive awakening on planet Earth. At any rate, going back to Britney Spears here, so those were the solar arcs. Now in 2021, she's got some massive major transits going on here. Transiting Pluto is conjunct Venus. That is the ruler of her Libra ascendant. So this is a major transformation going on with her identity. Also, I just want to say, well, I'm not going to get into that now. I was going to talk about her natal Venus being in the sign of Capricorn. You know, I'll just make one comment here. When someone's born with Venus in Capricorn, it needs a lot more experiences in life to develop maturity. And so, you know, people could be asking themselves, I mean, the first thing I thought when I was listening to this is, how can a mature woman at the age of almost turning 40 still be in a situation where she's not allowed to live her life freely? Something's not right here. At any rate, also going on here is transiting Pluto opposed her North Node. This is very important as well. and she has transiting Pluto semi-square the sun. So this is extremely transformative, what's going on with Brittany through Pluto. A lot of those transits are going to retrograde in August, so I don't know how long it's going to take for the courts to decide her case, but I assume like sometime in August something's going to go down with her throughout this transformation that she's going through. Now also, very interesting, my friends, and this is a beautiful example of 2021, the current Saturn square Uranus transit going on this year. We just had the retrograde hit in June. Okay, so this is perfect for Britney Spears, what's going on with her, and it's going to finalize at the end of the year. But where's her moon? Her moon is being hit off exactly by the transiting Saturn-Uranus square. Transiting Saturn is conjunct her moon, and transiting Uranus is square her moon. And so this is a whole reprogramming of herself. This is like all of her needs are screaming for fulfillment. Okay, and it's a whole new cycle of ambition for her as well, I feel. So this is so powerful, what's going on with Britney Spears as an example of this Saturn-Uranus square. I mean, it's all about either somebody in control trying to control you, or you demanding your sense of freedom and independence. And my friends, the beauty of it is that Uranus always will win out over Saturn. So whatever it takes, I feel like Britney Spears is going to get her freedom, whether it comes from her own self, because how degrading to have to go in front of a judge or a court system to determine for an adult how you're able to make your own personal decisions and live your life. I tell you, I'm an Aquarius, and this just lights me right on fire. It really does. Anyways, blessings to you, Britney Spears. I heard her say one thing which just is so beautiful. You know, she said something about just having her faith in God, because, you know, that's the whole bottom line. You think you can trust your family and friends, etc., but when you put your trust in that higher power, it will move mountains. It will move mountains. And so I hope that she gets the freedom that she deserves, and I think that she probably will. So it's fascinating astrology. It really is. There's just so much that one can learn by looking at the solar arcs and the transits that are going on with her, and the psychology and dynamics between herself and her father's relationship. Okay, so I think I'm just going to keep it at that for now and not blah blah too much about this. But it's just a great example of astrology, and of course, currently with that Saturn square Uranus, it's just a perfect example of how this can affect an individual. You know, we're all being affected on different levels, but this is a public situation that everybody can see. So anyways, hats off to her for having the courage to come out and to fight her way to gain her freedom. So at any rate, I'll leave it at that. And thank you for listening. And go, Brittany, go. Okay, bye-bye now. Be blessed. Bye-bye.